team will do the rest. Ash Foam and Nestra, your one-stop shop for all your home needs.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles. For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more sustainable home for us all to live in. Making the world a better home. That's our purpose.
Weber, we care.
Mensah is building his dream home. He needs high-quality equipment such as Hilti construction tools, DAB water pumps, PowerLink generators, Souvenir paints, Carrier air conditioners, electrical components from both ABB and Schneider, Fuji lifts, and cost-friendly furniture. He knows where in Ghana he can buy everything he needs to complete his home: Nestra and Ash Foam. He goes to Nestra and orders all the products he will need for the construction of his home. Whilst he's there, he talks to an Ash Foam sales rep who helps him order bedroom furniture, living room furniture, kitchen cabinets, mattresses, bedding, and even towels. Nestra and Ash Foam deliver everything Mensah needs to his site. Now his dream home is complete. He and his family can move in. like Mensa and purchase everything you need to build and furnish your homes from one shop. Just visit or contact a Nestra and Ashfoam showroom and our team will do the rest. Ashfoam and Nestra, your one-stop shop for all your home needs.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we...
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more sustainable home for us all to live in. Making the world a better home. That's our purpose.
Weber. We care.
Mensa is building his dream home. He needs high-quality equipment such as Hilti construction tools, DAB water pumps, PowerLink generators, Suvinil paints, Carrier air conditioners, electrical components from both ABB and Schneider, Fuji lifts, and cost-friendly furniture. He knows where in Ghana he can buy everything he needs to complete his home: Nestra and Ashfoam. He goes to Nestra and orders all the products he will need for the construction of his home. Whilst he's there, he talks to an Ashfoam sales rep who helps him order bedroom furniture, living room furniture, kitchen cabinets, mattresses, bedding, and even towels. Nestra and Ashfoam deliver everything Mensa needs to his site. Now his dream home is complete. He and his family can move in. Be like Mensa and purchase everything you need to build and furnish your homes from one shop. Just visit or contact a Nestra and Ashfoam showroom and our team will do the rest. Ashfoam and Nestra, your one-stop shop for all your home needs.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction. For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more sustainable home for us all to live in. Making the world a better home. That's our purpose.
Weber. We care.
Mensa is building his dream home. He needs high-quality equipment such as Hilti construction tools, DAB water pumps, PowerLink generators, Souvenir paints, Carrier air conditioners, electrical components from both ABB and Schneider, Fuji lifts, and cost-friendly furniture. He knows where in Ghana he can buy everything he needs to complete his home: Nestra and Ashfoam. He goes to Nestra and orders all the products he will need for the construction of his home. Whilst he's there, he talks to an Ashfoam sales rep who helps him order bedroom furniture, living room furniture, kitchen cabinets, mattresses, bedding, and even towels. Nestra and Ashfoam deliver everything Mensa needs to his site. Now his dream home is complete. He and his family can move in. Be like Mensa and purchase everything you need to build and furnish your homes from one shop. Just visit or contact a Nestra and Ashfoam showroom and our team will do the rest. Ashfoam and Nestra, your one-stop shop for all your home needs.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society, to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more
and applicable standards and timelines must be balanced against the financial projections and business plans. The aim of this presentation is to engender a wider discussion on the issues to be highlighted and the implications for the profession and how architects could reposition themselves to respond to the ever-changing needs of the dynamic and divergent world around us.
But that was more looking at the broad strokes of what the vision could be.
So I'll ask you the first question. Who defines and determines that vision for a city?
Right. I think that usually you'd say that the policymakers will be the politicians, the city, the urban planners, and the city administrators. Somehow in all of this, the architect seems to be missing from that equation. Now, that is not to say that architects are not consulted at all, but the question is, to what extent do they influence the policy that comes out? That really is the key to this whole discussion. Now, in order to be able to influence the outcome of anything, it is the question that to any decision maker's mind is how relevant is your opinion? And how informed is that opinion based on what society as a whole aspires to? And if you were a change maker, to what extent are you vocalizing that change to make it, if you like, a general or public discourse? Because if it is something that is being discussed amongst fellow architects, who's your audience? Do they share the same worldview as you? So these are some of the issues that will actually make us impactful on the policies and things that actually impact the built environment, in my view.
In your experience working here, at least in Ghana, do you think architects are part of this roundtable, all crucial discussion? Does that really happen?
Well, I think that not to the extent that probably it could happen here. See, Ghana is still developing. So unlike other jurisdictions, for example, in the UK, where I've got most of my experience, where it is a developed and almost settled society, there is room for change and improvement here. And I think that architects could add and make a difference to what we end up having. I don't know, there's this whole cacophony of what is developed willy-nilly everywhere you turn around, whether in the high-end communities or in the low-end, you see a mishmash of development. And you ask yourself, is there not an urban plan? And if there is one, why is it not being enforced? And if it is being enforced, how is it being enforced? You know, so the situation in which the first person who goes along or developer who goes along now produces a master plan. What's the basis of producing that master plan? And it's all done to maximize plots rather than improve the living environment. And that is where I think the architects can come in. That discourse possibly being led by I guess society like, say, the GIA or other such bodies.
For over 20 years, Kimo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Kimo Home. Kimo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors, We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more sustainable home for us all to live in. Making the world a better home. That's our purpose.
Weber, we care.
Mensa is building his dream home. He needs high-quality equipment such as Hilti construction tools, DAB water pumps, PowerLink generators, Suvinil paints, Carrier air conditioners, electrical components from both ABB and Schneider, Fuji lifts, and cost-friendly furniture. He knows where in Ghana he can buy everything he needs to complete his home. Nestra and Ash.
Okay, we're back. I have a brand new toy in my hand. And we were just about delving into the heart of the matter. I like how you've sort of given this understanding of where architects should want to find their place, their space. You know, it's very difficult here to define the idea of a Ghanaian architecture. You know, much less the idea of this vision that we're all hoping to see and make a reality. But I wonder if you feel there are characteristics of the Ghanaian architect that you've been able to identify, or you know, you can find commonplace. Is there something about us, you know, that that runs through a kind of thread, you would say?
I wouldn't want to, as it were, stereotype Ghanaian architects, because different architects and different people have got different ways in which they approach projects and resolve problems. However, my limited experience with a few Ghanaian architects, and I hasten to add, it is by no means the case with all Ghanaian architects that I have met, okay, but a significant few, you know, look at projects in terms of what they have been commissioned to deliver. And they look at it in terms of the limited brief, what their own vision of that project is. And so these Ghanaian architects who are like that don't actually add value. There is no real value addition. You take that brief and you define it in terms of your perception of beauty, or what you would like that physical built environment to be like. And that is what you expect the client, or would like the client to adopt.
Right. So there's really, in your view, a very narrow approach, a narrow sense of it,
Yes.
in a lot of the ways in which we go about our practice.
Absolutely.
Almost conventionally traditional, you know, in a sense. You've referenced this in the synopsis that you read. You know your stance that architects need a broader view, a broader perspective of a project's parameters, right, to successfully executing them. And you know, given just the current public indifference, you know, you have to the role of us as architects, what, in your opinion, do you think the Ghanaian architectural practice, I want to approach it from the point of practice and come down to education, in trying to kind of, you know, tie these ideas of a missing link and bring some tangibility to them. How do you think that Ghanaian architectural practices should evolve in order to meet the need for impact in our societies in taking on these urban scale projects and so on so?
Right, thank you. I think that to start with, we've got to really define this hallowed title of architect. Who is an architect? Now, if we define it from our perspective, traditional perspective, then the architect is the designer and supervisor or administrator of the construction of that design. And I think that to a certain extent, that is how most architects see themselves. But if we look at it from another perspective of the definition of an architect, and I want to give you a different definition for an architect.
Right.
Okay? And he is a person who designs and guides a plan or undertaking as the architect of the Ghanaian foreign policy. So when you look at architect, or from that wider perspective, there is more to an architect than the person who merely designs and supervises the construction of something he has designed. Okay. So from that perspective then, if we can then look at the role or how an architect should reposition himself, which I believe is what you're trying to lead up to, then I'll say that an architect then could see himself in different ways, as a project initiator and also a project sponsor, leading down to a project manager. Now, some may ask who really is a project initiator, and is that project initiator not the client? Well,
Exactly.
A client could be, and usually is, a project initiator. But any architect, because he can study that built environment, can study and understand the issues of society, can also and often do initiate a project. But often what happens that these projects are initiated in their office and they're looking who is actually going to do this. And so it becomes a lovely artwork, lovely perspective model sitting in his office. Okay. But you need to be able to take that further. Who can deliver this project for me? Okay. So the project initiator initiates that project, identifies who that project may be applicable to, the market that that project is best targeted at, and then he presents that project to an end user, a client who could deliver that project. Okay? Now, in order that you can keep that role, which is just being a project initiator, and stop there. There is nothing like a project initiator in a project team. He's done his job, he's gone. But to be relevant to the whole project process, you then have to metamorphose into a project sponsor.
Interesting.
Now, a project sponsor is a role within that whole project team, in that you now actually facilitate and guide that client, if you're not also the client, right, through a pre-feasibility, including engaging a project manager. So you don't start that project by going to look for a project manager to take you through that process. If you're being truthful in terms of a corporate project, you can start with that project initiation. It could be the client, it could be somebody else, in which case I'm suggesting the architect could be that person, and then you move through to being a project sponsor. Assuming the architect becomes a project sponsor, then he could then bring on a project manager to handle certain aspects of that project delivery. He could himself be the project initiator, project sponsor, project manager, and also the architect, the designer. If the architect merely stands in as the designer, then let me paint a picture for you as to who the architect is and why the architect cannot influence that built environment and why his vision will not be realized. Because in a project that is set up where you have got an initiator, a project sponsor, and a project manager, that initiator now being, call it the client, and his team being the project sponsor, or somebody in his office being the client representative within his outfit, and then they engage a project manager. Then they engage the design team. So by virtue of the fact that it is a design team, the architect becomes the leader of the design team, but he is not the project lead.
Right.
The project lead still rests with the project manager, and before him, if there is a project sponsor, the project sponsor. So the architect now finds himself down the pecking order. So decisions are taken by those who sit at the high table, i.e. the project sponsor, clients, and project manager. And he takes instructions from there and then coordinates the rest of the design team. How then in that role do you influence the end game? Because you're a part of the team.
You're limited.
Yes, I mean, essential part of the team. But you are a part of, I don't want to say a second tier to denigrate the architect, no. But there is actually a higher level that take the decision, and you take your cue from.
That's where you can find yourself as a project sponsor then.
Now, if you find yourself as a project sponsor, you are guiding the decisions. You are guiding that vision. But why should a client take on board the word of an architect as a project sponsor when in this modern era, it's all also about pounds, shillings, and pence? And he's guided by that. And by our training, we have no real or crucial understanding of the dynamics of project financing. Okay. So in that respect, people or architects think that they are actually limited by this. But in actual fact, you're not quite as limited as you think.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's interesting that you define a relatively newer role than a lot of architects are used to, because like you said, the convention is probably what guides a lot of the project processes, especially here, which is why most of the projects always stay at a certain scale or tier. To be able to take on this role, I mean, you're talking now project management, to the level that enables you to speak to an interdisciplinary team and lead and guide not just the understanding of that team, but the understanding of the client, as well. More or less, as we were discussing backstage, kind of almost parceling up an idea and giving it or presenting it to the client to say, this really is your idea, which you're then giving back to me to implement. That's interesting in the way that traditionally we're taught, or the education that affords that kind of skill sets, is given us within the level of either the institute or within the tertiary educational systems. And I like to call this hard talk for a reason, because we want to be able to see our institutes growing beyond what it is that we already have achieved, to seeing more and more and more the impact of us on an urban, large scale development. So some of these conversations become necessary. And I know you believe that architects make good project managers.
Yes.
I mean, you've said as much, but one would argue that our main skill set is really more tailored towards the conventional design and detailing. It comes back to the question that I'm about to ask you. What aspect of our training prepares us, at least, in order to take on this added role of being within the project initiation, project sponsoring, roles? And I realized from what you were saying that there's a flow. You can find yourself within a multiplicity of, areas, depending on the period within which the project is. So what about our training? Indeed, what about your training, made you as suited as you are to taking on this added role?
Right. Thank you very much. And I think I need to expatiate on this, my contention that architects make better project managers naturally. And the reason they make better project managers naturally is by their training. From from when you're in school, that is in uni, being taught the rudiments of architecture, right? You are taught to think through the full process. What is this project all about? How do I interpret that brief? How will that brief turn into something that somebody can, contractor can deliver on site? How is he going to go through the process of delivering that thing on site? When he faces challenges, the natural person he will talk to is the architect. Because the architect has sat with that project from a sketch on paper through to the final working drawings and specifications, he is better able to understand, and of course he has engaged with the various local authorities on the utility services, and he's engaged the different disciplines on the team as to what their requirements may be. He's better able to coordinate these different pieces of the jigsaw, right, and see what the impact of one could have on the other, as well as if he extends his imagination beyond that physical entity to the business case for that development, better able to advise on any changes that may be required to achieve the same objective. And he is better able to do that than any other, I don't want to mention names of the other disciplines, but
Right.
better able to do that than people from other disciplines who have not had the benefit of actually conceiving the idea. Because in trying to evolve an idea and conceptualize something and incubate an idea, you come with various strands of looking at the problem, which somebody who has just been handed, if you like, a fait accompli, is not able to understand the nuances, the background to those decisions that you have made. That is not to say that the design is not without flaws. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying that even in resolving those flaws or being able to understand how people are discussing the issues around it, you have a better flow. Right. And you are also better able to communicate. Let's understand something about project management. Project management is about relationships. It's about communication. It's about being able to deal with the different people and areas of a project. Now, who by training has had to face and defend their work throughout, from the first day he enters uni till when he leaves, an architect, through the jury system. So you're better able to explain, articulate, convince, persuade people to be on board with you. And that is why I think that architects are better project managers, through their being better able to relate to people, be they clients, be they other disciplines, be it the stakeholder engagement. They are better able to present and defend an idea. And through one of the critical aspects of any project management is, if you like, your communication. Okay. So what is the structure of that communication? And all that sort of thing, the architects are better able to define these roles, seeing how the different levels and strata of these roles will impact on the end product. Better able to do it naturally than those from other disciplines who have just learned the skills and rudiments of project management. That is my view, having engaged with different project managers.
Right.
I'm convinced.
I mean, I like the way it paints the ideal, because you know the reality of almost the architect being left to the mercy of all of these other professionals. I'll call them, if you don't, the cost consultants, the engineers, the structural guys.
I didn't say.
I mean, they're going to tell you the extents, the parameters, the cubic volumes, all of those things that determine what should be your, conception. And that's typically how we allow projects to run. I mean, we encounter this daily, where the architect then allows him or herself to fall down the ladder rung all the way to being told how you should actualize your design.
Yes.
And just in the spirit of the theme for this discussion, I mean that then becomes the reality you don't want to see.
Yes.
When you aren't taking charge. And I think that's what you're saying.
That's
That
precisely what I'm saying.
project management should offer us naturally a way of being able to articulate and command the design in order that you are able to achieve the results you want. So it's very interesting that we should look at it that way. And you've talked about also, the various parameters with realizing a project. I always like to look at the three entities: the cost, the quality, the time that it would take to bring a project forth. And it's almost a very difficult balancing act to try and get all three parts focused. And the kind of projects that you're handling now, I mean, the Kumasi International Airport, I can imagine the kind of concessions that you would have to make, sitting there within that role to be able to see the project through. And these are crucially, and let's not get this mistaken, these are crucial urban projects that begin to define and describe the landscape. How do you approach taking on a project?
Right, good question. The thing is, projects are different. And I'd like to look at every project beyond what you describe as a project. Because if we define projects, the reason something is a project is because it has a definite start and it has a finish. When you start and you finish, that project is finished.
Exactly.
Okay? However, a project is a mere means to an end. It is a business case that drives a project. Often we forget the two, that there has to be a reason that project was done in the first place. And so I go back to this issue of a project initiator, a sponsor, and then
The management team.
the management team and the design team sitting in the
Yes.
middle. The project initiator and the sponsor have an eye to that end game. Okay. And therefore, they have to be able to justify the project. Okay. So when I look at a project, I look at it from the standpoint of sometimes I'm the project initiator, that we sell a project to
Right.
whoever the client may be,
Right.
that you do need a project like this in order to deliver X, Y, Z. Okay? And then we present him with the reasons why. The person latches onto it, and then, or the corporate entity latches onto it, and then it becomes a project. And you don't stop there. You follow through being the project sponsor to make it happen. Assuming that, on the other hand, the client comes to you, which is often the way that an architect would, then, and so still using this Kumasi project you're
Yes.
talking about, thing, then you have to help them, guide them through to realizing those projects, but with a view to the end game. And the end game is not when you complete the construction. The end game is what are they trying to achieve with that airport, with that market? What is your end game? What are you trying to achieve? For some, it is, but if the end game is about finance, then I think you missed the plot. It's about delivering a service through which you will gain the revenues to support that project. So from the get-go as a sponsor, you've got to be able to understand and do a pre-feasibility that allows you to be able to appreciate better that end game. In so doing, you'll be able to then balance these three key things, which is the cost, quality, and time. Cost, quality, and time is something that project managers will be very, very familiar with. Because in looking at any project, you've got to balance these three. Okay, but which predominates? And it predominates because of the client's own objective.
Absolutely.
And that client's objective, like I say, is that business case,
Yes.
and that end game. Okay, so if timing, say for example, if somebody asked me to do a shopping center for him, and I look at the figures, we study it all together, and we see where he wants to go, and I say that, you know what, Christmas is a very good time to actually make an impact. So you've got to try and finish this project, let's say
The delivery
commission
of it.
everything about 3 months before the Christmas, so that it is the new hype in town. Okay, that means for me, timing is predominates everything. Now, a client comes and he's got a limited, a finite budget. Okay, what should impact key decisions? It's cost. How do we deliver this? So in the first example that I gave you, timing, when do we actually open? So that I could get to that project and I can say, you know what, we're not likely to finish all areas of this project. Which areas we finish blank off in order we can finish in time for open this
Opening.
in time for Christmas, so that he can make back revenues can start to flow. Because if you open it in February, when everybody's finished spending their money, by the time Christmas comes along, you are just another establishment. Okay, so timing for certain projects is key. If you're doing an office building, it's not about timing per se, unless it is tied to, it's not a speculative building, but tied to an office moving in by a certain time, because their rent on the existing premises
Is
going to
expiring.
expiring. Okay, so if a time is not my key consideration, and he is not, the budget is not so tight, then he may say that I'm targeting blue chip clients. I say to get your blue chip clients and rent out your building quicker than Joe Bloggs next door, it becomes a question of quality. Okay, and that quality is not just quality in terms of specification, but quality of design. So all these parameters come in, and because we're talking monies, I'll say, okay, if as an architect, sometimes I question myself, why do you always look at quality, cost, and time, and that sort of thing, when you should be, your mind should be somewhere in there,
Right.
somewhere thinking about beauty. Well, the thing
Daydreaming.
is that, yeah, daydreaming. But the thing is that the person or the corporate entity spending their money looks at it this way and says, we'll look at it and say, where do I best put my money? I'll say, where are people actually seeing this you're building? Is it along the front, 2 sides, 3 sides? What is it? Spend your money on those that make an impact, so that you will get people into your building very quickly. Because if I can rent that my new building 3 months ahead of the next door neighbor's building, if you look at the cost of money, which architects don't tend to look at, but it makes a significant difference.
Yeah.
And it is these discussions with the client that builds up that confidence that the client says, this is the person I want to spend time with.
Absolutely. I mean, the way it is that you look at it then tells you how you can achieve value by targeting what you know is the client objective.
Absolutely.
And it leads you to that question of how much should we be nurturing those relationships with clients? I mean, you have different ideas of clients, obviously, along the different scales of projects. But what you are speaking to, for me, expresses that need to cultivate our relationships with clients. Make sure that you are in with the fold with them, in the understanding of how they want this project to be of value. So that understanding, is that something that you bring a lot to impact on successful delivery of projects?
Yes. The thing is that it behoves us as architects to understand our clients and what drives a client. The moment I begin to engage with any client, I try to find out what drives this client, so that, to borrow from Apostle Paul, he's all things to all men, You have to be all things to all clients, And because you have an interest, his interest, beyond bricks and mortar at heart,
Right.
you are able to engage with him at his point of need. Now, that is not to say that you've got to get really personal with client and invade his personal space. That is not what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is that you have to respond to clients. If your client, say, is under pressure to deliver a project, okay, what are the things that he needs to be able to, you need to be able to give him so that he will look good in front of his bosses? How do you explain an idea to him so he can also go and express that to his bosses, financiers, and such like, so they will think, this is very good person to deal with. Okay. When you go to attend a meeting with your client, you're not there to show him up.
Yeah.
You are there to back him up. If your client needs to know something in advance and put it forward as his own, don't be precious. It's not
Right.
necessarily your idea. Remember that anything you consider your idea has been thought about before.
Absolutely.
So you go, you help lift your client up. In that way, your client values you because he knows this man has got my back. It doesn't matter what time of day a client calls me, morning, noon, or night. What is the problem? And I'm there to solve it. So therefore, the client sees me not as an architect, not as a project manager, but the person who, together with him, own that project.
Who can translate his or her ideals? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Together with him, in partnership with him, we own that project. That is the way to do that. I look at big corporate projects.
No, it's amazing that you can break this down almost simplistically, but you are applying this to high-level, multi-level discussions, and likewise within the institutes. I mean, we're looking at how we can access certain areas of governance and leadership to be able to make our involvements a lot clearer. And this seems like a really good roadmap, if you will, to how to do it, how to address issues of policy, and so on and so. And so, what I'm taking from this is how differently, in terms of an approach, you can use persuasion, to get the architectural fraternity where it hopes to be in making these high-level decisions, around the round table. So thank you for that. I think it's something that we can take away very keenly from this discussion. We're going to go a little deeper. I mean, for me right now, we have the, if you will, the structure of what's missing for us as that bridge, as that divide. I mean, addressing it from the point of view of the architects understanding that they need to be kind of, evolution towards something just the narrow approach. But we're also talking about the idea of the architect after that self-development, if you will, placing themselves due to their natural skill sets and training in positions where they can influence. It begins to actually give you a really good picture of how we get to the other side of what we want to see. And you've worked across parts of Africa, the African continent, and in the UK, and I'm sure you've been confronted by diverse, cultural differences and characteristics in terms of contracts management, contracts administration on a project, so on and so. And on all these parts, how do you see large-scale projects faring over time here in the hands of Ghanaian architects? How do you think, in terms of longevity, we can sustain a situation where we are more and more in charge of how the landscape, is formed?
Well, I think that by and large, Ghanaian architects are doing the best they can. It's the perception is really what the hindrance really is. And that's why when you have certain large projects, you find that the clients or even the project sponsors are stepping out to look at foreign architects. It actually happens even within the company within which that I work. Now, let's compare this with what is, and some of these things have to do with the financing structure, But the more architects get into, if you like, the whole spectrum of project initiation and project delivery from that higher level, they'll begin to understand the dynamics and likewise how to position themselves to take advantage of opportunities that may come. Looking at projects that I did in the UK, you have large corporate clients. They have defined what it is that they want. They initiate these projects, and more or less you fit within a certain structure, you know. So in as much as there's a whole lot more detail in terms of the technical aspects of the delivery than we will have here in Ghana. There is also a certain restriction in terms of what you can and cannot do within a very defined structure.
Right.
Right. Again, working in, let's say, Nigeria, they have systems that at the corporate level also are more structured than ours, which people may not believe.
Interesting.
That is because they are more used to doing very large projects
Right.
than, or larger projects than we are, and collaborating with foreign architects. So that's not to say that they do those projects
Right.
themselves all the time, but they collaborate with foreign architects,
Right.
but on a more even level
Yeah.
than
Than we're used to here. Yes.
Whereas here, in that collaboration, the lead is always a foreign, and the Ghanaian architect is below that. There is nothing wrong with that to start with, because one expects that there'll be some skill transfer, and over time, you sit
You come at par.
apart. But 62 plus years after independence, it becomes a bit of a problem for me when that balance, or
Yes.
still there's that imbalance.
Yeah, imbalance in the system.
That is a
Yeah,
problem.
I mean that's a brilliant distinction to make, and for somewhere as close as Nigeria, you know. I mean, talk to me about the Calabar projects
Right. Where do I start?
from the very beginning, if you please.
Well, Calabar projects. When I actually left the UK in 2012 to go to Nigeria, it wasn't actually to go and do a project in Calabar. I was actually supposed to go and do a large industrial development in Port Harcourt, also in Nigeria, in River State. You know, but in the interim, there were a few challenges they were facing in Calabar. So I went there to set it up, get it going. It was already started, but you know, just straighten a few loose ends there, set the systems going properly, and then so I took over.
Put it on track. Yeah.
Yeah, put it back on track, and then leave. Unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, the clients, that's the government, you know, Nigeria is a federal system, so the governor and
Right.
governors and whatever, they decided that, no, hang on a minute, you know, we don't want this person to leave. So now,
Wow.
what it was is that they had this, they were creating, if you like, the state was repositioning in itself, having lost its oil wells, okay, to develop or redirect the whole economy
Right.
from the oil-based to one that is, how should I put it, leisure and entertainment.
Interesting.
And that sort of focus started by the previous governor. So in trying to do that, this new governor tried to create what he called the Summit Hills, okay, and bring in various things that would draw tourists to the place. And that is a different discourse in that when you talk about tourism, there's a whole gamut of things that actually form that base, from medical tourism, leisure tourism, business tourism, all gamut of things that come into play. So again, like I said before, it is about understanding the end game. So I found that in Calabar, I was talking about doing presentations on behalf of the government, talking about
Wow.
the vision and selling that vision to other states, you know,
Amazing.
and investors coming in. You know, so I did learn a lot from that that project. We did the monorail, which is, I suppose right now there must be some other. By the time we completed that, it was the first one in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes.
We did a lot of groundbreaking things in terms of the spans of the Calabar International Convention Center, passing services through beams that span 15 meters, that cantilevered 15 meters with an auditorium above it, and all sorts of things that, you know, it was just very
I mean,
wonderful.
it's incredible. I mean, when you have your hands on a project like that, how are you? At what point do you begin to think about its maintenance over time and its longevity? Are you then still responsible for aspects like that?
You're responsible for defining and structuring how that will be done, even though you will not be around to do it.
To ensure it, yeah.
Yes. So we prepared. So this is different from somebody saying that you are preparing a maintenance.
Right, a maintenance plan. Yeah,
that is
typical.
different.
Yeah.
This is strategic in terms of how you prepare from inception. How will this thing be managed and delivered, and how is it going to be paid for? Okay. So it is a strategic approach to its maintenance rather than the technical aspects of it.
Brilliant, fantastic stuff. We will come back to this very interesting discussion with Reginald Longden after this break.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more sustainable home for us all to live in. Making the world a better home. That's our purpose.
Weber, we care.
Mensah is building his dream home. He needs high-quality equipment such as Hilti construction tools, DAB water pumps, PowerLink generators, Souvenir paints, Carrier air conditioners, electrical components from both ABB and Schneider, Fuji lifts, and cost-friendly furniture. He knows where in Ghana he can buy everything he needs to complete his home: Nestra and Ashfoam. He goes to Nestra and orders all the products he will need for the construction of his home. Whilst he's there, he talks to an Ashfoam sales rep who helps him order bedroom furniture, living room furniture, kitchen cabinets, mattresses, bedding, and even towels. Nestra and Ashfoam deliver everything Mensah needs to his site. Now his dream home is complete. He and his family can move in. Be like Mensah and purchase everything you need to build and furnish your homes from one shop. Just visit or contact a Nestra and Ashfoam showroom and our team will do the rest. Ashfoam and Nestra, your one-stop shop for all your home needs.
And welcome back to this very interesting discussion we're having right now. Please remember, if you're watching, you can post your questions, your queries to Reginald Longden via Zoom, via WhatsApp, via Facebook. Let's get into a really interactive discussion here. This is about our cities and what we want to make them, the creation of value in all of this. And I'm honored to be having this discussion with Reginald. And I mean, we've talked about vision. We've talked about where the architect can place themselves in the making of, said visions. There have been several lucid master plans left to us, almost as a heritage of sorts, a heritage resource that have been left underutilized. And most of those projects that from the beginning had been planned for grand visions, haven't very, very much seen the light of day. I mean, developments in cities like Accra, Tema, Takoradi, Kumasi. We've had a lot of dislocation in past times. How do you think that as a collective, as the Institute, as a body, we can begin to access these pieces of important resource, almost in being able to piece together an understanding of the historical underpinnings, of our architectural development? I mean, do you think it's significant, these historical underpinnings?
Yes, I think that I'm trying to understand how to, or see how I approach this.
Right.
The answer to this question. There are projects that there were grand visions, some like the Koli Lagoon and other projects like that, that appear to have died a death.
Mm-hmm.
I will not say that they have necessarily, and others, I will not say necessarily they have died a death, except that maybe the economics and the timing at various times since they were first conceived is not right or suitable. For example, not just the Koli Lagoon, that the Volta, there's a whole industrial enclave that was supposed to have been developed in that Akosombo area.
Right. Right.
None of which actually materialized. Okay. Now, that was because at the time there was the, if you like, the rest of the country was not so developed. There was the excess capacity from the generation of power that could have supported that level of industry. Whatever the case may be, it didn't happen. Let's not go into the politics of it.
Politics.
Okay. But in looking at how do we actually take some of these things forward from a GIA, from a Ghanaian perspective, let's say, is we have the habit, should I call it habit for want of a better word, of waiting to engage with foreign investors to help us develop these larger projects. Okay. However, they too have to go through the same process of securing funding The money is not
Absolutely.
in their back pocket to use to develop these. What it is that they understand is they understand better the processes that it takes to raise funding.
That kind of funding.
And raising funding is not a cheap pursuit. It is an expensive pursuit. However, when you consider the fact that the reason it's expensive is because they have to procure different services
Mm-hmm.
to be able to put together that package, which we call a bankable
Mm-hmm.
package, to be able to secure the financing. I'm always bewildered as to why, after all these years, okay, we cannot collaborate, interdisciplinary collaboration, to be able to undertake some of these projects. So, for example, having already defined the structure of initiation, sponsor, project manager, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, you'll realize that you also have to crucially identify your stakeholders
Mm-hmm.
and who you engage with at different stages of the project life cycle. Okay? Now, I believe that there are people with enough, that's architects and non-architects, with enough experience of how big projects come together.
Work.
So that they, in collaboration with those in architecture and planning and
All the other
social
interdisciplinary
sciences
bodies.
and the civil structural engineers
Mechanical,
and
electrical.
mechanical, electrical, and all that sort of thing, coming in at different stages. But you can form that broad coalition at the get-go. They don't have to come in from the beginning.
Mm.
Okay. And indeed, they don't have to sit at the table having discussions from the get-go. So it is possible for an initial small group.
Mm.
I've always been of the opinion that when I'm sitting down to discuss a project with more than 4 or 5 people, I lose interest because I know it's not going to go anywhere. You know, we're going to talk shop and it's not going to go anywhere. But if you find one, possibly 2 others, 3 of you, you know, in a huddled
The
together.
main players, yeah.
Yeah, huddled together. You know the strengths of these different. So you're not coming together simply because you are friends, but because you know you have the synergy and at least the initial wherewithal to move to the next stage. You know, which is interacting with others and putting a certain structure together and being committed to devoting time to deliver in this. Time is the key ingredient that most of us do not have. Because most of us, including myself, we're looking at our bread and butter here and now,
Right.
and not let me speculate for to gain something at a future date.
Right. Right.
I dare say that had I been a few years younger than I am now, knowing what I know now, I probably would have tried to do that, to actually lead to do projects that I can identify. Right now, I leave it to people younger than myself. Yes, because you know, people. Some are of the opinion, oh, it's so easy to raise money. Until they try to do it themselves, and when they hit a brick wall, they think, this is impossible. So we'll leave it to the foreigners. No, it's not impossible. It takes collaboration. So, indeed, these things are possible and feasible. And when one wants to take on a large project, it doesn't matter whether it is Korle Laguna listing. First of all, as a project initiator, you've got to find out, is there a need for this project? What is it going to take to deliver this project? Do I have the wherewithal to assemble a team? Not necessarily yourself, but people I know who would be willing
Key
to assemble
consultations, yes.
a
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Maybe including initially a project financier who will just spend money,
Do the
initial, let us
forecasting,
get
yes,
some data
yeah.
and that sort
Yeah.
of thing, you know. So we're not talking oodles of money, but initial collection of data.
I mean, we've
Prepared to
talked
risk.
about this, and not to cut you, but we've talked backstage about how you may, as the client, have the money, but whether or not you want to invest your money in this is left to the ability of the architect, or you know, in this case, the project sponsor,
Yes.
to encourage you into spending that much.
Absolutely. So before you get to the stage of meeting that client, who is the person with a little bit of money to spend upfront, you must have done enough homework to be able to sit in front of this person and convince that person that in as much as every business is a risk, I have reduced that risk or have risked this project for as much as I can. And then you can give him a comparison of other things he has delved into. How much riskier that was than what it is you are proposing.
Proposing.
And it always helps when you can actually make reference to other projects of value that you have done. That I actually was part of this. And this is how we did it. It gives them confidence that you know what you're talking about. That you can indeed deliver on this. Yes, there is a certain risk. But he feels more assured. And that is where I talk about engaging with that client at his point of need. So he then begins to wrap all his hopes in you. Because even if it's a corporate client, but it's a private corporate client, in the sense that it's not a government organization, remember that he has people also speaking into his ears. Why are you trying to delve into this? You know, this thing is such a huge thing, actually relax a bit, this one is less risky, so you need to be able to talk over your position.
Yeah, I know a lot of architects watching this right now would know what that feels like.
So you need to be persuasive.
Yeah.
But you need to be persuasive not in a theoretical way, but give him real life examples of why this works. Because here in Ghana, I find that once somebody knows that, George did this, let's say these apartments, and it sold very well. Therefore, if I go and do one next door, it will also sell. He has done no market research. He's just going on the base of George did. Okay, where's the research? If you're going to do any such project, major project, you must know that it starts with research. Okay, and the reason a lot of us who are technophiles, like myself, don't actually succeed in doing things for ourselves is because I can outline for you all the problems, okay? But when I'm talking to a client, I can outline for him all the solutions to all the problems he puts to me. Unfortunately, we cannot do the same for ourselves.
Something about that has to change.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's entirely right. That you're usually more willing to give off yourself, to someone else's endeavor than for your own. Here in the Institute, we've been trying to, and hard talk, I said, we've been trying to develop our own facade, if you will, our own visibility on the landscape for quite a while. I know this current council has put their time and their effort, and thank you very much for that, into making sure we get somewhere in realizing an architecture house. Something almost very simple, but it says a lot. It makes a statement about what we do, and defining something like that, starting from home, and more or less being able to cater to our own is very important for where it is you're leading us in this discussion. And so we'll come to the Institutes, and the next question here is one that I'd like you to sort of speculate on with me, how the Institute, where is the Institute missing the point, I guess, in making an impact in this discussion of the designed reality, achieving that designed reality we want to see on the landscape? How can the Institute sustain that flow of significant enough urban projects for its membership? Do you feel that it has a role in doing that? Where do we find ourselves?
Okay, I have to start by saying that I'm not in a position to say, well, the industry and the Institute is limited or not. However, all I can say is that if the Institute wants to increase its public profile, then there are things that one could suggest. That is not to say that they are not already doing it, because I may suggest something you find that you're already doing that. But in order to get a public profile, you've got to put your discourse out there in the public, so the public can also engage in that discourse or react to that discourse. Now, how is that possible? I say one way in which the Institute could do this, if it's not already doing this, is to engage with members and find out what projects, let's say within the past year, the members, different members, have done, and compile a list. And the members need not tell them about every single project, but keynote projects they want to talk about.
Right.
The significant, maybe 2 or 3 projects that you have done in the past year, be they within the residential, commercial, civic, leisure, whatever it may be in whatever sectors that the institute defines for them to put in. And they may discuss it in terms of project value, location, challenges, timelines, when was it initiated, when was it completed, you know, brief statement about this thing. Nothing that should take anybody too much time, a few lines. Then the institute can look at these projects and say, oh, within this sector, these are interesting, that we want to have a bit more information on. So you contact your members, and your members may tell you a bit more about it. Then you say, okay, I would like to invite not just the architect, but also the client, maybe the QS, maybe the structural engineer, maybe to come and give us a talk about this project and how this project actually was, some of the challenges and how it could have been addressed. So that learning is common. And it also educates clients. And you put this online so that when a client comes to see an architect on a separate issue, they can even use that project as an example. Positive, not a negative.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
always you've got to look, you've got to be positive about your influences.
Yeah.
You know, so if you don't like something, and I'm sure that members would put projects that call it successful projects, but it is as important to understand the challenges faced and how you overcame those challenges as telling us how glorious the project is. Because we don't learn from how glorious the project is, but how you overcame the challenges. And it is that the people should sit around, talk about, but so that when you put it out there to the public, how this successful project was implemented, they have added confidence in the ability of the local architects to deliver on these. And in that discourse, they change the landscape. And in that discourse, the foreign architects coming in, they can impress upon government. We have done this, we can this. We have even analyzed some of the buildings that you have done using foreign architects.
Yeah.
And these are some of the challenges. This is how they could have been resolved.
Right.
You know, if you had collaborated with local architects and insisted on a certain collaboration, then some of these things which are local nuances would not have occurred.
Building up scenarios, you know, as it were, with real-time projects. Yeah.
That's right. You test.
Brilliant.
You can actually test, and then lessons learned. So you're not there to criticize, but to critique. You know. So these are the positive aspects of this. And you look at everything from the technical aspects to the procurement, to the challenges, how they were addressed, how they could have been, if there are areas that were a challenge, how they could have been. Then you praise the positives and you critique the negative and offer solutions. It is in offering solutions that you actually build up confidence. You know, I had a boss once in the UK when I started working there, and this was, I think, my second or third day in the office, and I went to see my boss, Chris Everett, and he invited me in, and he said, so I think it must have been the first week, or anyway, and he said to me, Reginald, so how do you see, you know, your experience and all this thing, the project that I put you on, what are your thoughts on it? And I said to him, by this time I had a list as long as my arm of everything that I thought was wrong, that you know, they could have done differently, and all the problem areas and all those sort of things. And he sat down, listened patiently to me rambling on for about 10, 15 minutes or so. And when I finished, he said to me, Reginald, I pay you to give me solutions, not to tell me problems.
Oh
I know everything about problems. Is the solutions that I pay you for. I tell you what, I felt this small. Since that day, I don't go to my boss or a client or anybody like that to tell him about a problem without having a solution. Clients don't pay us to tell him about the problems we've got.
Brilliant.
He's got enough of his own. He pays us to give him solutions. So there are certain discussions, for example, that I sit at tables and I hear architects, contractors, and thing have certain discussions, and I cringe. You know, that as a project lead, I will never allow you to have this kind of discussion in front of a client. It belittles a whole lot of us. Let us have that technical meeting before. We come here, we put our best foot forward, client and contractor, and we tell him how we're going to resolve his problems. So he has confidence in us. Because in as much as we come here washing our dirty linen in public, nobody leaves here smelling of roses.
Absolutely.
He may smile with you, but at the back of his mind, he's saying to himself, this Reginald, he's not all that. He comes here and tells me all this thing, but this is what the contractor said about him. You know, so we must avoid that. To get a successful project, you must work together, you must collaborate, you must be partners to deliver that project.
If anyone's listening right now, this is probably an hour's worth of a discussion that we may never get again. So I'm really glad this is being recorded, because some of these things are things that plague us daily, constantly on projects. So it's very good feedback to have. And we find that word critiquing really missing from the discussions that we have as an institute, you know, how the institute can take up that role. And like you said, not talking about the problems per se, every year in, year out, there are June rains to deal with. We all know what the issues are, but putting out there those kind of policy statements and things that begin to look at the architect being in control of, like you're saying, giving the solutions. And that's a very, very, very interesting perspective you've provided us. Thank you very much, Reginald. And we'll end with this. This year, for us, as the AGM, will mark the election of a president in waiting. Now, I know you're not a member.
No, I'm not.
Hoping to be.
One day.
We'll mark this year's AGM with the election of a new president in waiting, a position that's held, if I'm correct, for a year before the election of a new council. And this is more a role that allows for the transition of power and knowledge, to the next president. I'll still ask you, what do you hope to see? What do you hope for us as the GIA in a new incoming president taking up pretty much what we're talking about, the responsibility of leading and managing the institute towards being in more control of its affairs?
Thank you. I've always been of a view over these many years of practice that architecture or the architectural landscape, more than just the physical structures that we see, is very, very dynamic. It is in the delivery, it's very dynamic. And therefore, I'd like to see the new president coming with a focus to, if you like, transform our worldview of architecture, not in terms of the aesthetics of it, because to a certain extent they are subjective, even though a discourse is always good about subjective topics. But in terms of how we approach projects, so we have a different mindset. How do we engage with clients? And these things, the new president can, if you like, engage in more, if you like, create more focus groups to discuss these things and form panels that put it whether in Zoom conference or regular CPDs to discuss the issue of architecture as a business, as a policy, as a practice. I mean, there is, and I was saying to you earlier on, that there is a difference between the practice of architecture and the business of architecture. So the practice in terms of the design and all those formulations are very important. But you've got to be able to have a viable business to make it work.
Absolutely.
And if an architect doesn't have a pipeline of projects, that practice ultimately will wind down. So he needs to be in a position to also market himself. So the balance between being able to market himself without putting public adverts out there, you know, but the GIA creating a firm where architects and the public can engage is quite crucial. And I'm hoping that he will be somebody who from time to time can put out releases by the GIA on topical issues relating to the built environment, relating to societal issues. So people begin to understand that architects are not just engaged in physical structures, but in social dynamics, and actually are empowered to understand these social issues. So we're talking about drainage. Okay, so somebody says, let's go call a hydrologist. I'm not saying that a hydrologist is not crucial to this, but where's the architect in all of this discussion? Because he also understands some of the causes of these. There are also causes, some of these are due to the built environment. They're due to people's use of the drains and all those sort of things. Can they be designed out? Can people be taught? So whether the sociologist and the architect and the hydrologist, how do they actually come together to partner to give a solution that is holistic? You know, so I'm hoping that the next president will be in a position to engage in a more, if you like, look at things in a more holistic manner, and not let's try not to be too precious about architecture as a niche thing. Architecture is about the whole society. You know, everybody who leaves home today, if you've got a roof above your head, you're going into something that was, if not designed by an architect, at least was conceived by an architect, even if he did it himself and doesn't have the title of architect. He is still the architect of that building. Like I said, we should not narrow it that band to that hallowed title. But the fact that architecture as a practice is practiced by every Tom, Dick, and Harry in one way or the other. When we talk about interior design, it is practiced by every Tom, Dick, and Harry in one way or the other as they lay out their rooms and arrange their room and break a wall here. You're engaged in that form of thing. But how do we assist and engage people? Today you find that every, body with a bright idea gets up today and says, I'm an interior designer, I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm this, and we're playing catch up. How do we even help those people, direct them, so that architects are relevant to the public discourse? And those, let's call them pretenders out there. And I'm not saying they're doing a bad job. Some are doing this stellar jobs and even collaborating with architects and fair dues. And I agree, and I think that architects are not the front of all knowledge. That's another thing that architects need to, again, you said it's hard to
wake up
so
to.
architects need to get off their high horses and understand that they are not the front of all knowledge and all ideas. The best way to get the best product is to share ideas. So within your practice, within your collaboration with team members, maybe a structural engineer, maybe mechanical, electrical, he may be somebody who just walked out of uni. But share ideas. Explain why you're doing something. Let them challenge your ideas. Don't be too precious and say, I've been working for 30 years, so I know it all, and you don't. You don't get the best products that way. Allow people to critique. I'm not saying criticize. I use the word critique advisedly. Allow people to critique in the same way that when you stood before a jury, your peers, your lecturers, everybody critiqued your work. They didn't criticize your work. They critiqued your work. Don't be too precious about your design. And I'm hoping that the new president will put in CPDs that people will speak to some of these issues, and then through that change the mindset of architecture to be more relevant to their society today. What's the changing phase of architecture? We haven't actually touched on that, and that is not for today's discussion. But what's that changing phase? Who's defining it? How do we fit into that landscape? So these are some of the issues for maybe another day that we as architects need to be thinking about, discussing, debating. Nobody has the solution. I have my thoughts on it. So do 1,000 other architects. I'm not necessarily right. They are not necessarily right. I'm not necessarily wrong. Nor are they. But let us discuss it. and together we will find things that work for us. And I'm hoping that the new president will be able to bring
Join these common threads.
not necessarily like-minded people. I don't mind if there are people, so long as they're
Divergent
constructive.
views.
Yes, you know, so long as they're constructive. Why can't we have take opinions of planners, structural engineers? We've encountered this, and they think that the architect has this, which doesn't help projects. Okay, it doesn't. So let us learn. How did it not actually aid that project? Let us learn from that and come up with solutions that help us all. That can actually change the way people perceive us.
I mean, we're talking about, thank you very much for that. We're talking about some of the opportunities, if you will, that COVID has offered us in a rather converse way. And when you were talking right now about, you know, collaborations across board, that's one of the things that's easier, if you will, to do, that you can organize, you know, these discussions quite virtually, like we're doing right now, and have them broadcast to a larger audience than you would have been able to, you know, capture before. You know, it's one of the wonderful things in which we look at things not as static, you know, but as always changing. And like you said, even with culture, our culture is dynamic. It should be. Yeah. And with that, architects also need to learn to, you know, respond to the change. Yeah. So it's all hopefully leading us somewhere. I know there's quite a bit of work that we need to own up to individually and as a collective. Yeah. But I think it starts from here, and hopefully another discussion with Reginald Longden will be in the pipelines. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
I think
my pleasure as well.
Thank you very much. We're probably coming to wrap up. I would be interested in taking any questions from the membership at this point. If there are any, please let us know via Zoom, via Facebook, via WhatsApp. If you can post your questions on the platform. Otherwise, we will have to say goodbye to our guest for this second day of our AGM. We'd like to thank our sponsors as well, Saint-Gobain, who is always here with us year in, year out, Nestra, Chemo. Thank you very much for being a part of this. We will see you tomorrow for what is the deciding day. Very interesting elections ahead of us. I hope you can join us via Zoom as we usher in and welcome a new president in waiting. I think this will be keenly contested. For the first time, perhaps, we have a female standing for that position. And we also have a very formidable opponent to her. Yes, so we'll look forward to that. Kindly let us know, even after this discussion, if you have any questions for the architect, Reginald Longden, and we will share those with him. Thank you so much for being a part of this discussion, and have a good evening.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future. A better, dedicated with continuously improving and innovating. Our teams work hand in hand with our partners to imagine solutions that enhance people's individual quality of life and address the social, societal, and environmental challenges facing the planet. We care about our employees, our customers, and our communities. Home. We build places that spark dreams and aspirations. And we work every day to make the world a more beautiful and more sustainable home for us all to live in. Making the world a better home. That's our purpose.
Weber, we care.
Mensah is building his dream home. He needs high-quality equipment such as Hilti construction tools, DAB water pumps, PowerLink generators, Suvinil paints, Carrier air conditioners, electrical components from both ABB and Schneider, Fuji lifts, and cost-friendly furniture. He knows where in Ghana he can buy everything he needs to complete his home: Nestra and Ashfoam. He goes to Nestra and orders all the products he will need for the construction of his home. Whilst he's there, he talks to an Ashfoam sales rep who helps him order bedroom furniture, living room furniture, kitchen cabinets, mattresses, bedding, and even towels. Nestra and Ashfoam deliver everything Mensah needs to his site. Now his dream home is complete. He and his family can move in. Be like Mensah and purchase everything you need to build and furnish your homes from one shop. Just visit or contact a Nestra and Ashfoam showroom and our team will do the rest. Ashfoam and Nestra, your one-stop shop for all your home needs.
For over 20 years, Chemo has gone the extra mile to beautify homes across Ghana. We offer a wide variety of world-class bathrooms, tiles, kitchens, and interior finishing, giving customers the peace of mind they need to relax and create their dream spaces. We assure you of unbeatable offers, expert advice, and premium customer care. Locate our showroom on the Spintex Road, close to Manette Junction, or call 0900 200 000. Follow us on social media at Chemo Home. Chemo, relax, dream, create.
Home. A fundamental need since the dawn of humankind. A universal aspiration shaped by specific needs, depending on where we live on the planet. A harmonious interplay of material and emotional components, personal and shared experiences. Infinitely small individual homes and our infinitely vast shared home, the planet. A challenge that's never been more essential for society to reconcile performance and comfort while preserving resources. As historical market leaders, we now have the responsibility and the power to better inhabit the world, making. For more than 350 years, we are manufacturers and distributors. We design materials and solutions that have a tangible, positive impact on people's lives, including the way they work, take care of themselves, and travel the world. We are a worldwide, multi-local organization with a global ambition to protect our planet and invent a more sustainable future.